I invite you as well to ask questions to them. They will be answered lately over this presentation. Today we'll announce many innovations to the point that we talk of a proper revolution. So let's start, but we cannot start without my co-driver today, my co-conductor. Who is him? I ask you to give a look to this quite strange video. Please. As you know, it is Formula One, not Formula One today, it is Formula One 23 years ago. The championship is a 1990 World Championship. Take please a proper look to this white and blue car, not only to Ayrton Senna on McLaren, but look the white and blue car driver. He is big fighting with Ayrton Senna, overtaking him. We are at Phoenix. This was the first Grand Prix of the season, and the battle was very, very long. In the end, Senna was first, but this young driver was second immediately after him. And this is not Phoenix. This is Monte Carlo, as you very well see. We are in Monte Carlo, where once again, that year, the accent was on this driver. A driver very much helped by Pirelli tyres. He was very, very good in qualifying and in race. Also in this Monte Carlo, he was second. Second immediately after Ayrton Senna. You see him, more than a second, just more than a second. And he is the driver. The driver is with us. I invite him on the stage with me. Jean Alesi, please an applause for him. What an emotion, huh? 23 years ago.
Different. Thank you for the picture, by the way. Changed a little bit, but it was a great time. It was a dream time for me. Of course, the Pirelli was amazing, qualifying, but also during the race, because we had the chance to keep the same tires for the whole race. And I remember after the Grand Prix, talking with Ayrton, he was surprised, and we had a really good time.
But Gian, you are here not only to talk of your past with Pirelli. From now, from today, we can announce it officially, from now you are a Pirelli brand ambassador. Can you please explain what does it mean?
Yeah, it's always, you know, there is a story. From the beginning, I had such a great time with Pirelli. Then Pirelli stopped Formula One, and I stopped also, obviously. But to be back in such a company and a family, it's always a dream of a sportsman, and especially in my case, I'm extremely happy to be part of the team and to be able to follow what Pirelli will do in various situations.
It's correct from you talking of a family with Pirelli. It is a family, and in this family, I'm sure you know, you had and you still have a great fan of yourself. This great fan of yourself is with us today. I invite him at the stage. He's the Pirelli President and CEO, Marco Tronchetti Provera. So, Mr. Tronchetti, what an emotion. Looking to this very young Alesi. You enjoyed him very much.
Yes. What I can say is that even if you are not as young as we were, you look good. And so means that the last 20 years went okay. And I hope that the next will be together. So thank you for being with us. You gave us a lot of emotions in the past. But the last year when we were in Formula One, we left in the 90 after. And you also left Tyrrell. And luckily, when we left Formula One, you went to Ferrari. And then, at the time, I could say that I was a fan of Ferrari. Today, I cannot say because I'm a fan of any team, and in my role, everyone is equal. But at the time, I was really a fan of yourself. Thank you.
Mr. Tronchetti, Pirelli was at the peak in Formula One 23 years ago, 20 years ago. Now, once again, it's at the peak in motorsport and in Formula One. Now we are starting the third season in a row with Pirelli once again in the Grand Prix arena. Can I ask you what is the leitmotiv which made connections between then and today for Pirelli?
I see that many things have changed, one thing hasn't changed. The thing that hasn't changed is passion. Things that are not changed are competition, and so I think that the spirit of today is the same spirit of 22 years ago. Our people were able to get the pole position even with others that were having more powerful cars. That was just because of Jean Alesi, that was also because of the Pirelli tires and the technicians that were able to make special tires. And you probably know better than I know what our technicians were able to do in order to provide you the best possible tires. They did something specific, if I remember well.
Yes, we had such a great time, with these qualifying tires. I was a young driver at the time, and my race engineer was always disconnecting my radio because I was coming in the pit and during the session, and I wanted to have the qualifying tires straight away because I wanted to make and to match a fantastic lap time. And I remember, by the way, the name of the tires. We had the QM3, and these tires was amazing. And always my engineer was saying, "Wait, the end of the session. You will go fast, but don't ask too much now." And this tires was also we had the possibility to clean it, what we call the raspatura, and to make another go. And that was upsetting our competitors.
So you see, we cannot do this today. I don't know what they do. I see that the outcome is okay. So it means the technicians are still good even today.
For sure, we can see.
Yeah. Mr. Tronchetti, Pirelli is always very strictly tied with the concepts like innovation and, of course, top performance. Today we will unveil all these details, of course, but you can please just open with a summary of what new, from this point of view, we can expect from this coming season.
The effort that has been made, and afterwards someone will tell more technically what has been done. But in fact, I think that our technicians were able to improve the grip. That means more safety for the wet and for the dry, but also better performances. So this is one of the points that has been focused in the last months. And the second effort has been made in order to make the different sets closer in terms of performances, whereby for the teams it will be more difficult to choose the right tire, and competition will be even more, let's say, emotional because of these strategies that could affect the results of the races.
And still, Mr. Tronchetti, there's very strict connection between motorsport and normal road activity for Pirelli, because we have always mentioned motorsport as an open-air laboratory for research and development. Maybe, if not the most important, one of the most important.
I think it has been, and it is important, because even when we started with the project of Formula 1 2.5 years ago, the will of the chief of R&D, that is not here today with us, Mr. Boyok, unfortunately got the flu, and the will was to involve the same people that were acting R&D for the tires, for the passenger car tires. And so the R&D, all the R&D was involved, and people were chosen, then someone was were dedicated, but the entire R&D was part of the process. And that meant also afterwards a lot of results coming from Formula 1 directly used for the passenger car tires. So I think this has created the right atmosphere. This has helped to accelerate the process, and also this has created a passion that has involved the entire Pirelli. So I think our people all around the world, they feel proud of what our technicians are doing, and they are really fan of the Pirelli passion in these races. This is what's also for the motor, and later on we'll talk also about it.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Tronchetti. I don't know, Gian, if you have any questions for him.
Just the innovation, because Pirelli is always on the top of that. For the new tires, it's the third season now. in which direction the engineers work?
They continue to work in the direction that has been the driver of the evolution of our tires in the last 2 years. We have and we are asked to provide more uncertainty but more performance. Uncertainty means that teams have to find the right set and drivers they have to use it properly. As have you seen in the last season, the first 5-6 races, the drivers were not at the top using the tires. At the end, they were too good. At the end, the teams were asking us to do something different, because otherwise the drivers were also able to keep the same set of tires for the entire race. So I mean, this mix of uncertainty related to technology is what the teams are asking and what we try to do, and we achieve it, and this is thanks to our technicians.
I think, Mr. Troghetti, we have a couple of questions from our colleagues coming from the floor. Is that correct? Roberto Antonini from Autosprint, yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. 2013 is the third and the last year of tire supply agreement Pirelli had with Formula 1 so far. Is there any new agreement coming? So we'll still see Pirelli in Formula 1 past 2014?
But, we are obviously willing to continue this adventure. The teams are satisfied, so we think that the partnership we have with Formula 1 is a successful one, is a win-win cooperation, and that is why I'm confident that we will reach also for the next year's a good agreement. But nothing new for the time being.
More questions from the floor? Franco Nunez?
Pirelli is the single maker of tires in Formula 1 and in Superbike. But is correct to say Pirelli dislike the competition with the other competitors?
No, it's not correct, because we are part of 250 and more races around the world. If we split between single supplier on competition between suppliers, half of the races are as a single supplier, and a sole supplier, the others are with other competitors. So we like whatever can create competition, evolution in technology, emotion. This is part of our DNA, so we are ready to compete with anybody. Thank you.
I think we have time for the third and possibly last questions from the floor, but I remind you there is a Q&A session in the end of this presentation, so many other questions will be answered.
Carlo Bruno, Rai TV, good afternoon. The gap of the new compounds will be much closer next year, this season. That means that new strategy for the teams are possible. But don't you think that from the point of view of the image of the company, that can be a little bit of disadvantage, in the sense that Pirelli is not capable to create and to produce very lasting tires?
Everybody in this business knows that make very lasting tires is the easiest job. You have seen 22 years ago there was a single supplier or multi-supplier. The result came where technology was okay. For many decades we have been having single supplier, multi-supplier. At the end of the day, we show in any race in Formula 2 and 3 we have tires that last the entire race. So it's not an issue. I mean, it's the easiest possible product one can make. Make safe tires, lasting in a range of 20-30 laps. Depending on the different sets, this is the real challenge. Because it's easier to have in any different race tires lasting for the entire race. But when you have differences between one race and another, because the ground is different, temperature is different, pilots, they have a different approach, to have the same outcome. So competition within the same tires that are 100% equal, this is the challenge. This is much more difficult than do tires that can last 100 laps, 200 laps. But you know better than I know, you could explain better than I do.
No, obviously it's extremely difficult to make a tires who last few laps, and especially as a driver, you never know when the drop will came. So that is the reason why, especially the first 7 races last year, we have seen scenarios really strange with drop of performance from one car to the other one, because they didn't really found if they were able to make 18, 20 or 22 laps. This 2 or 3 laps window was a window they had to found during the Grand Prix, because with the new regulation of the testing, they cannot do test. They test during the Grand Prix, and during the season they found how to use it, and they looks better.
I can add that the managers of the team at the end of the last season, they asked me, together with Eccleston, please do something, because everybody are too good, they use too properly your tires, and there is less fun, less amusement, less participation. So that's why we will continue the same way.
I see we have already started going into details, so I invite on stage now the 2 motorsport directors from Pirelli, Paul Hembury, Motorsport Cars, and Giorgio Barbier, Motorsport Bikes.